Hi friends, how are you guys today? This is the third day of letter D, and today we're going to kind of focus on what animal this is. Do you know who this is? Snoopy, right? He's a dog, and dog starts with D. So later I'll send you some videos when I go home of my dogs at home so you can meet them. And our book today is about the very first dog. It's called The First Dog. So he kind of looks like a wolf, doesn't he? Did you ever think about how much wolves are like dogs? So this is a book written and illustrated by Jan Brett. She's one of my favorite children's authors. It's called The First Dog. Long, long ago, in the day of the Pleistocene, Kip the cave boy bounded down the trail on his way home. He avoided the cave bears and the megasaurs. He evaded the woolly rhinos, the wild horse, and the mighty mammoth. He marched on until he saw a great rock. It was a good place to stop and rest. Kip reached in his bag for a woolly rhino rib, still sweet and smoky from his fire. Suddenly up popped Paleo Wolf, looking for leftovers. The wolf's nose began to twitch and sniff. He sniffed to the left and he sniffed to the right. "What are you doing?" teased Kip. "What can you smell in this emptiness?" His dogs are really good smellers. Paleo Wolf held his snout high in the air. With his keen nose, he could smell a rain cloud across the valley, the track of a tiny toad, the pelt of a prying pachyderm. But most of all, he could smell roasted woolly rhino bones. And he gave a hungry whine. Can you whine like a dog that's begging for food? Like that? Can you do that? "Pooh," said Kip. "I can't smell anything but my dinner, and it's all for me," he said, and he turned his back on the wolf. But Paleo Wolf already had hurried away. Kip saw the reason why. He was just able to get away in time. Ooh, it's the woolly mammoth, right? He had to get out of there. Soon Kip was back on the homeward trail. He walked on and on until he spied a cave. It was a fine place to stop and rest. He thought about another rhino rib, still crackling and crunchy from the fire. Up popped Paleo Wolf again, looking for leftovers. His wolf ears began to turn and dip. Wolves and dogs can hear really well. He listened to the left and he listened to the right. "What are you doing?" mocked Kip, taking a big bite. "What can you hear in this silence?" The wolf cocked his head, and with his fine canine ears he could hear a fish in the river, a leaf fall, the soft pant, pant, pant of a cave bear. Most of all, he could hear the snap of woolly rhino bones crisp on the fire. And he gave a pleading howl. So this time he didn't whine, he howled. Can you howl? Ow! Can you do that? Give it a try. "Oh, Pooh," said Kip, "I can't hear anything except my teeth crunching on these tasty bones." And he threw a clump of moss at Paleo Wolf. Do you see what's in the background over there? But Paleo Wolf had already hurried away, and when Kip saw the reason why, he was just able to get out in just the nick of time. Soon Kip was back on the homeward trail, more footsore and weary than ever. He trudged on until he saw a big tree. It was just the place to stop and rest. He climbed the tree, reached for another woolly rhino rib, still pearly and greasy from his fire. Up popped Paleo Wolf. looking for leftovers. Wolf's eyes began to sparkle and dance. He looked to the left. He looked to the right. What are you doing? Jeered Kip. What can you see in this darkness? Because dogs have a really good, they have good vision. This wolf could see something. What do you think he sees? Wolf's eyes glowed. With his sharp eyes, he could see the shimmer of a distant drop of dew, a mouse scurrying far away, a feline sleeping high above. Do you know what a feline is? Can you see right there? Uh-oh. Most of all, he could see that rhino bone shining in the moonlight, and he licked his chops. You know what that means? He's like, can you do that? Pooh, said Kip, I can't see anything, except, of course, my roasted, toasted, crispy, crunchy, pearly, greasy, woolly rhino rib. And you won't be tasting that, Wolf, because I want it all for myself. Then Kip yelled, shoo! As loud as he could to the wolf. The yell resounded up and down the tree, and it woke up every living thing around. Instantly, Paleo Wolf's nose wrinkled and his ears went back. Ooh, so when dogs' ears go back, that's not a good sign. That means they're usually angry or scared. His eyes narrowed and his tail stood out, and he looked terrible. So terrible that Kip threw the whole bag of rhino ribs down from the tree. Help yourself, Wolfie. But Paleo Wolf didn't care about that dinner. His mane bristled and his ridged down his back. A long growl shook from his throat. It was a lasting warning. So can you growl like a dog? Urgh. Can you growl? Give a big growl. Urgh. What do you think he's growling at? Kip opened his eyes very wide and looked all around. He could not smell, hear, or see anything. What do you know, wise wolf? He says. But Paleo Wolf was gone now. There's a great danger here, thought Kip. I need to disappear too. So he shrank behind leafy branches and made himself very small. Just in time, for high in the tree was the most fearsome of creatures, the saber-toothed cat. She crouched and snarled and sprang. She hurtled past Kip, hidden in the leaves, and pounced on that pile of woolly rhino bones. All that night, Kip sat in the tree, and he thought and he thought. He shivered over Paleo Wolf's last warning. It had not been 1 second too soon. The next morning, Kip climbed down the tree, and there was Paleo Wolf, looking for leftovers. Together they looked at the spot where the bones had been, and they were very gloomy. Finally, Kip made a speech, and he said, Wolfie, if you'll use your keen nose, your fine ears, and your sharp eyes to keep me from being eaten up, I promise to share all the woolly rhino ribs and even some mammoth meat with you that I cook over my fire. Paleo Wolf barked, meaning yes. Can you give a happy bark? Woof! And then he wagged his tail, because when dogs wag their tail, that means they're friendly and happy. He was the very first wolf to ever bark and wag his tail. Kip saw that and he cried, I'll call you Dog, which means one who wags his tail. Then Kip the cave boy and the very first dog went home. The end. Did you like that story about the very first dog? Do you have a dog at your house? I have 2 dogs at my house. I'll send you some videos.